Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Happy Bringling. Namaste and welcome to Bringle Talks Men of Legacy. Every Sunday, we come together to have real conversations about financial freedom, family presence, purpose, because being a provider as a man is not enough. Our families, our communities, and our nation need men of legacy. Men who build wealth with purpose and leave behind something greater than job titles. And today I am joined by someone very, very special, who is not just my co founder, but my partner in creating a change, a force in education and a social impact, Dr. Vinaya. Dr. Vinaya has actually played dual roles in her lifespan, and that is why I am very, very excited to invite her today for the Men of Legacy topic, because she understands the both aspects of being a provider and a protector like a man, and also bringing the warmth and compassion like a woman. She's one of the person whom I have met in last so many years, who understands emotions and purpose put together into it. And Dr. Vinaya has over 27 years of experience in education, with double qualifications in child and cognitive psychology. But before I introduce her further, I would like to invite her on the show. Thank you, Dr. Vinaya, for coming on Bringle Talks Men of Legacy for today.
Namaste. Thank you. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be here on this Sunday.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vinaya. And I think, Dr. Vinaya had been a principal consultant to some of the leading India schools, DPS, NPS, and many more, and a CBSE resource person as well. She's a trained she has trained thousands of teachers, organized angel investing meets for us across India, and worked with the men dominated, or I would say men dependent society, while creating her own mark into the society out today. Today serves as a president-elect for Rotary Bangalore Jeevan Bhima Nagar. She's the founder of Soulful Smiles preschool and after school in Varthur, Bangalore, which is going to be supported by our first social venture fund project of 50 lakh rupees, where investors can start with just 50,000 rupees or 5,000 a month. Through this, we are providing not just free education to over 100 underprivileged children, but we are also building our venture capital fund with her, which is a $1 billion Design Your Unicorn NFT fund. With a minimum investment of 5 lakhs, investors can back India's next 100 unicorns with 100x plus potential returns with principal protection and easy liquidity option. Let's come back to her. Beyond the professional journey which she has, Dr. Vinaya is also the composer, singer of our anthem, Awakening the Golden Bird, the one who brought me into Rotary, and a single parent who has faced life struggles with resilience. So today we explored her story, her lessons, and her vision for Men of Legacy. Welcome, Dr. Vinaya.
Thank you for that elaborate introduction. And it's a pleasure that I'm being here talking about Men of Legacy in between the world of men. Of course, yes, as you said, it's been ruled out and it's been from ages, from our old Vedas and Puranas. We have always seen that it was, if I will put it across, it was always ruled up by men. Yes, women played a very important role in building up these legacies too. And I strongly believe that we play both roles as men and women over here.
Lovely. And just want to understand few aspects, and for the benefit of the community out here who is listening to it. You have played dual roles in your life, so far, and being a single mother at this point in time and managing children, and not just your children, but probably lakhs of children, which you have, kind of supported over a period of last 27 years. What is your perspective towards, I would say, this kind of a discussions between men versus women, and things like that? And how do you see the society evolving with respect to this differentiator between men and women?
Difficult to put in through words, but yes, of course. As you said, because I'll say, as you rightly said it, because it has supposed to be the balance between and a thoughtful perspective between men and women. As a woman, I have always experienced that how often society places a different expectations, um, not only on women, but I'll say it's both on men and women both. We see men as more or less of providers, and when we call it as women to be more or less of as nurturers, it was a different experience for me altogether, because I had to be both provider and a nurturer at the same time. um, my way of breaking through things was very different, and it I can only say that for me it was a journey, not about men or women, but it was all about being and doing something. And I think everybody out there also is on the same phase. Everything plays on a different aspect, but yes, when things come to you, or when we look into, I always feel this, that why people have to look at from a perspective or a sides of men and women, why it can't be looked as a human being.
Beautiful.
Both the perspectives, be it men or women, I always feel they are right from their side. As we rightly say that when we write a number 9, a woman standing on that side will say that it is number 9. A man standing this side will say number 6. I may not say that the woman is wrong or a man is wrong. Both are right from their own perspective, because 9 can be read from this side as 9, and on from the other side it can be read as 6. So let's not differentiate, or the world would be more happier and better place with a lot of smiles if people stop differentiating things between men and women, and we carry it as a human being and a human responsibility.
Perfect. Very nice. And thank you so much, Dr. Vinaya, for sharing that. And with this, I would really want to add that this Men of Legacy, while we have creating a special unique day on Sunday, understanding more emotions about men, there is another Bringle Talks which we'll be recording on Women on Purpose, which will be on Thursdays. So the whole idea out here is that it's not about differentiating both of them, but basically understanding each of them and bringing them together. That is why our first two Bringle Talks actually women coming in and talking about Men of Legacy, and especially those women who have played a very different role and worked into the society from an impact point of view or a legacy point of view. While everyone is thinking about men being provider or a protector, I think these women are creating a mark in the society and being a provider as well as a nurturer, as Dr. Vinaya mentioned about it. So Dr. Vinaya, let's start with Soulful Smiles. This is more than a school, and I think it's a movement of hope. Through our first social venture fund of 50 lakh rupees, we are creating both financial freedom and social impact out there. And that's how it's a combination, which is called a social venture fund. So what was your inspiration behind Soulful Smiles? Because that is one thing which I always listen from you in terms of smile, dream, achieve. And why do you believe that education is the best way to build legacy?
I'll say the smiles can be born, or smiles are always born with education.
Oh,
So if you are educated, doesn't mean that degrees upon. When I'm saying about if you are educated, which means if you are well informed and you know things about, you know something, whether it is skill or some matter, that itself is an education. Yes, I strongly believe in smiles, and kept believing it right from my childhood, and still today I carry it. And Soulful Smiles for me didn't born just like that, but it was born out of a powerful resolution which I carry on. And that's true, that happiness actually comes from creating different opportunities for others. And I have experienced it. When we create an opportunity for others, the happiness that we get cannot be compared to anything else. And as an educator, I see it on an everyday basis, that how even a small gesture of a support can completely bring a change in anyone's life, may it be anybody. And Soulful Smile was completely for me like, why not give that small change to a small child also? Because the child deserves to have that change in his or her life. I just wanted to build up something which not only brings the smile to these children, but also to allow the contributor. When I say contributor, as it's a social venture kind of a form, it's like a contributor where those people who contribute, they also feel this happiness, where they indirectly create a joy or a smile in that child's face. And that's why I'll say it's an entire joy of making something really different and creating that real difference. So that is what is my inspiration behind Soulful Smiles.
Beautifully explained. And I think this is where the social venture fund comes in with a small investment of 50,000 rupees. Give men and women also the ability to build passive income while funding the or educating the 100 plus underprivileged children every year. As a woman who had to balance being a provider and a nurturer, what does it mean to you, Dr. Vinaya, that men can now invest to reduce that burden? Because this whole social venture fund or a school is created on a self-sustainable cash flow model so that you can generate passive income and eventually do something which you really want to do and work, dedicate your life towards purpose.
As said earlier, I would just take it forward from there that it is not for a man to think about a passive income, but as a legacy of a man, even a woman to think about for a passive income. Well, I always stand on both the boats and have tried to manage and sail up the boat. Have sailed successfully till now. Going further too, will try my level best. I always feel that generating such a kind of, or this opportunity itself is an opportunity which can help everyone to not only have their passive income, but also have that happiness of giving something to someone. So while each one of us always have this somewhere at the back end in our heart that we want to give back to the society, we want to do something for someone, it's the best way to do it in a small way by not at all losing the funds which you already have, but actually investing those funds, creating some funds for yourself and also for those little ones who can never build the funds on their own.
Beautiful. I think that's I really explained that. Uh, you know, and I'm talking more about men right now, not because I'm trying to create a divide, but it's because today is Men of Legacy. So you'll be hearing more of men. However, we will be discussing the same thing from a women perspective on Thursday on Women on Purpose. But so, just excuse me for that. So while men, some men prefer safe, steady return, others are ready for the higher rewards as well. Maybe that's few. And I think that is where the differentiator or the balance of our venture capital fund, the Design Your Unicorn NFT $1 billion fund comes in. The fund is for those who want to back the India's next 100 unicorns. Uh, but you being there with us for almost now 2 to 3 years time, uh, why do you think, and why did we decide to create two different paths out there, one for the conservative builders and one for the high risk takers? What make our fund, both social venture fund and venture capital fund, unique compared to traditional investments? And how can men balance between the risk averse providers and an ambitious dreamers as well?
As you know, we constantly always kept discussing about it that this fund is something or this model is something which can give or which has an ability to build up a passive income. It also has that. As you divided into conservatives and something which relate to high risk takers and
Ambitious
the
dreamers,
new
ambitious dreamers, yes.
ambitious dreamers or whatever we call. um, I feel that we recognize that every investor, whether it is small or whether it is big, doesn't think in the same way. All will have their different perspectives. So we wanted some want some steady growth, some do not want a steady growth. Some thrive on calculated risk, some do not take calculated risk, especially like me, they don't never take a calculated risk at all. So when something like that happens, it's a big upside, or sometimes it's a big downside as well. Creating these two paths is honoring between those two mindsets. It's what I closely feel. And a conservative builder route is something which only protects the capital, but and tries to build a consistent wealth, something like that. But I believe that the risk taker roots help us to have a stronger appetite of a risk, and also help us to experience or sometimes exponential reward, sometimes it may be a huge loss as well. I'm talking it from my own experiences, but both of them in their own way leads to a legacy, but just that it's a different speed. While conservative would be very calculative, and this would be a non-calculative or something like that. uh, the fund which we're creating is unique. Yes, as you said, it is unique because it combines both social impact, very importantly, and it combines the next generation assets. When I say next generation assets, it's my little ones who are going to be benefited by this social fund. So, investors' resources are being properly designed and they've been put into the, I'll say, to the box of the social venture fund, which actually helps the little ones to come forward, who are our next generation. So, and also it is backed, as you said, it's always backed by a transparency and a traceability where the people can trace where the amount has been put in, they can come in, they can see the results, they can see the work. So it's curated very aptly. I can say that this entire fund is curated so aptly, and it is unique because it isn't just a word or a speculation. It's created so that every investment goes as a token which represents the real stakes of every child who learns in that particular organization, whether it is Soulful Smiles or it's a Rotary led Soulful, or whether it is anything. So there is a constant community growth which we look forward to as happens. And I I missed out your last question. You said something about balancing.
Yeah,
Balancing.
how can men balance between being risk averse providers and ambitious dreamers? Well, you've answered that, but I would like you to talk about what you were trying to say.
That, that balance and ambition, investing. I really feel that um, it's a men's portfolio which gears up both of this. A conservative funds, which always the men will think about, or anybody who is very thoughtful like a man will think about, is where you secure your fund and with have a steady roots. High risk is just like a Rajdhani Express or a super fast train, which just grows like an engine. But yes, it branches for a higher risk, and it branches for the sky, I might say. While both allows us to protect their family, because even if a man is doing, it's supposed to be, like more or less, I always feel that a man does to protect his or her family up there, right? So as a man, they're always been told to protect their family. So it's about protecting their family in present, but also ambitiously leading them to a legacy of what I leave behind after I go. मैं जाऊंगा तो मेरे पीछे ये लेगेसी होगी, तो बस वही लेगेसी बिल्ड करने के लिए शायद हेल्प हो जाएगा. So it's neither or neither for. It's a smart blend of both caution and courageous step which a man can take.
Wonderful. I think beautifully explained, Dr. Vinaya. And I think let me for the audience explain this once more in a more crude manners. There are there are two funds which we have. One for the people who are very ambitious dreamers. They want 100x plus potential returns and things like that, which is eventually be funding the next 100 unicorns of India, which will give you returns like Zomato, where 10 lakh rupees became 22, 24 crores in just 11 years of time. But that entire wealth went outside the country. So we are trying to protect Indian and NRI investors, bringing them over there, bringing their wealth, making them investing into the Indian startups, and these Indian startups grow further and further. So that's the whole objective. Now that is where it will help us to transform India into a startups capital of the world. The second fund, because this fund requires minimum 5 lakhs of investment, while the SEBI requirement is around 25 lakh rupees. We are making it as a model so that every retail investor can invest in. But when it comes to the social venture fund is a combination of a venture capital plus social impact. So here, the returns, the investment required is as small as 50,000 rupees. But you will get your return back in, return of capital in 3 to 5 years time. And then you get 10, 20, or maybe 30% per annum of annual returns till perpetuity of that particular center. But the idea here is that with this center, we will be training underprivileged children and out there free of cost, which will actually create a big social impact out there. So both models are perfectly fine. Both models have their own transparencies, as Dr. Vinaya was mentioning. The only difference is whether you want to focus on a sustainable returns, or with a more social impact, or are you looking at a really a huge impact or huge returns like 100x plus potential, while still transforming the country into a different manner. In both the funds, the whole aspect is to transform India into a startups and skills capital of the world. So uh, with this, Dr. Vinaya, I just move it to this next level. You've spent nearly 3 decades in education and psychology now. You've touched countless lives. You've got double psychology, one in child psychology and other is cognitive psychology. And that itself is legacy, to be frank. That itself is a purpose. Looking back at your last 27 years, what's the highlight of your professional journey? How does Smile, Dream, Achieve tie into this entire journey of yours and your philosophy of living? And how has your leadership evolved from a classroom to boardrooms to Rotary also, and leadership roles right now? Uh, you're on
Mute.
mute.
Yes. As always, I was on mute. I'm sorry.
No
Looking
problem.
back at 27 years journey, yes, just in today morning, I was talking to one of my parent, and just the highlights of this journey is I have countless moments with students' eyes lit up and understanding the team member that's from my teachers, and I see how my teachers grow and build themselves into a confident leader. All those quite I'll say I never experienced it celebrating, but yes, I still seeing those quiet victories are the best thing which I would have got for from this journey. In that journey, this is something which I would highlight, where learning transforms the lives and more meaningful. I see that everybody achieving their milestones, whether may it be a student, may it be the teacher whom I have impacted, or may it be any admin staff who's always worked with me. So that is something is highlight of my journey, and I always take it with me. And my mantra of smile, dream, and achieve is nothing but finding the joy in anything and everything you do. During I envision anything, it's just about building up the future for somebody and working steadily through it. As rightly said, your men of legacy spirit shares the men to build a wealth with purpose. So for me, it's like a dream to impact beyond and then uplift each other and move ahead, because everybody pushes each other down, but there are very few who will uplift each other. So want to always be there in those list of people who can lift or uplift each other. A journey from my classrooms to boardroom, that was really nice. My classroom experiences, actually, I will say, taught me a lot of patience, because if you're there with the children, you need a high amount of patience and a power of listening with the children, because if you are not a good listener, you are never a good teacher. And boardrooms, yes, they only help me strategically to actually plan, design, etc. And what I can say about Rotary is nothing less than that it only deepened my sense of service to the community back. Together, all of this shaped my leadership, right from the classroom to boardroom to Rotary, that I am people's person first, purpose driven, and adaptable to any arena which comes to me. So that is something how my leadership has evolved up.
Great, great. And I think one of the things which I have learned during the last 2 or 3 years being with you, and especially building this Soulful Smiles, in the last 6 to 9 months, I would say that. What I've seen is this industry is a primarily women dominated, and men have always been kind of a more at a other side of the environment. But even then, what should men learn from these educators about patience, balance, and presence from your perspective?
I'll say one thing which we all, I would just say to the audience out there that, brothers, it's high time that it really takes a lot of courage to become an educator, especially a teacher. A teacher just plants a seed, an educator just plants a seed today without even expecting what's the result going to be. She knows that she's not going to be there to uh, eat that fruit or bear that happiness or something. We do not look forward for an instant result in the fast-paced world. I believe that I'm not being feminized or something.
Anti-men.
Yes, nothing to men or women, but it's like I always see that men are especially a fast-paced in careers, and we women are a bit more slow-paced in careers and can benefit from the lesson is that, like an educator, you need to be staying in present, nurture your relationships more, and remember that greatest legacies are grown and not chased. So, like an educator, keep growing, not chasing.
Wow.
On a
Greatest
lighter note for all the men's out there,
greatest legacies are, I want you to repeat that. That's a wonderful one.
greatest legacies are grown. They are
Okay.
not chased. Like a
Wow.
teacher or an educator plants a seed and then it just grows. You just have to water it. So I actually
Beautiful.
believe in that.
Beautiful. And I think I would want to record this in this. Greater legacies are born, not chased. And I think this
Grown and not chased.
grown, not chased. So
Grown. Like
that
how an
means
educator grows a child. We educators play
wonderful.
a lot of role, a big role in, growing the child up directly or indirectly.
Lovely, lovely. And I remember this lovely word of yours, and I would try to use that more often right now.
For
Uh,
no offense for anyone.
no, no, I think, I mean, I really love that statement. Believe me, I mean, this is something is very, very important because as a nurturer, as a leader, we sometimes forgets that it's not only about reaching to milestones. It's also about nurturing and building more and more. And that is what the legacy is all about. And I think that's a beautiful message as as an educator, as a nurturer, as a person. So, let me just talk about it. And I think I can keep talking again and again and on this, but let me just cut short it because the time is little constrained. Uh, Dr. Vinay, your professional life is inspiring, but your personal life is even more powerful. You've been a single parent, managing both ends, breadwinner, caregiver, and as you have firsthand, you've seen firsthand how men can create both positive and negative impact in a woman's life. What has been for you being a single parent taught you about resilience, strength, and responsibility? And what have you learned from the men in your life, the ones who have uplifted you and the ones who have hurted you? And how do you see men of legacy changing how men show up for their families?
Tough question, but not that tough because Appa was always, and he shall always be the only hero of my life. Yeah, just that being a single parent only gave me more strength, which isn't much loud, I'll say. It's a quiet determination that I have to show up no matter what happens, no matter how tired I am, balancing the roles of both nurturer and a provider, and still creating a home which has to be filled with love. Responsibilities did not remain as a responsibility for me. It was less about for me as a duty, but it was more about being more resilience and optimism for my children. And the lessons that I would have learned from it is that both good or bad, the men who showed up to me, the power of kindness, the power of steadiness, and being very supportive. I have learned all of these three from a man, and that That thing of being resilient, I'll say none other than Appa can would have taught me. That is something which there are so many endless lessons which I only learned from a man, and that man whom I owe my entire life and death to him. Those the men, the one who caused a pain, if you ask me, have taught me to put on how to put boundaries, how to create your self-worth, and also taught me how to stand tall among all of it, both in lifting me and in sharpening me without compromising the dignity. I'll say was taught to me by both the one who could have never hurt me and has never hurt me, and the one who have hurt me. So that is just, it just have taught me. So I'm grateful to both of them equally. I believe that from Appa only, that just be grateful, don't see the negative side, see the positive side and be grateful and walk away, which will give a peace to your heart. I just continue to follow that. And for me, the men of legacy, as you say, it's only redefining word of success, that I only want people to be encouraged more about earning, and instead of time, emotion and purpose, they should invest a lot with their families, the time which they can give to the family. And when you are saying and talking about the passive income, this would help them out to spend more time with the family. It's always about not being present, but also about building wealth for a man. But it's also about the trust and the share of the growth, which, a man and a woman can share in the same, under the roof, or I'll say under the same roof. I will only say that the presence can be small, and that can be a just small consistent effort of just putting down the phone and listening without rushing out, or celebrating small ordinary moments, whether it is with the children or whether it is with their partners. It's just that what remains with your kids and children, and what remains with your partner, is how you made them feel. It's not ever about what is the pay size of your check. So I just would want to say that you provide, but you also participate. That's the true legacy.
One lovely, lovely, Dr. Vinaya. I think what you gave a message is a very beautiful message to all the men out here. This was my actually another next question, but you've already answered it. This is a beautiful message you are giving in, not just being a provider or a protector. Just stay and do spend some more time with the family, your children, your partner, because that, or maybe parents, that is what they need it more. And by the time you earn so much, they may or may not be there, either physically with you or even by soulfully with you. And then it would be, you would be thinking what to do now, because you have kept running after that. I remember running it for making setting up my business, thinking that I would have time to spend with my daughter. But today when I see, I am not able to, when I have time, she does not have time for me. And that is where the time just goes by. So even if a small time in a day, and probably that is one of the major aspect which we are focusing upon, that if a man, while running towards the money, has to be a limit to it. So once your basic needs are taken care of, you have a passive income which is taking care of your kitchen expenses, your other expenses, and you're debt free, then you can actually spend more time what you really want to do. Be there with your family members and spend that time. But yes, it is always a journey. For me, even today, as a man, it's become difficult to manage those things in that manner, because probably we have built up to that way that, we keep always working, and, not being, trying to go one milestone after another milestone to another milestone. But a beautiful message: be there for some period of time with the family, because it's not the paycheck which matters to your family. What matters is your time. Everything else can be worked out and will happen as per whenever it is supposed to be. Thank you so much, Dr. Vinaya. And just one last question before we close out for the day. You introduced me to Rotary, and we will talk more about this in Rotary Legacy Fridays. You are a president elect, and I serve as a director international services at this point in time, only because of you, of course. Rotary Bangalore Jeevan Bima Nagar. Together, we are linking men of legacy or women on purpose to a global platform now. And you also gave us our anthem, English anthem, Awakening the Golden Bird. How does Rotary align men of legacy with social transformations? And what inspired you to write and sing the anthem out there?
Rotary for me, as I said, always had been a place of compassion, service. It actually meant service above self, and it perfectly complements with the Men of Legacy vision, which you have mentioned and I have read through also. Through Rotary network and platform, I said we can actually prove different community projects as this one, which we're looking forward to, and channel all the investments and partnerships into a better growth where we can make a real impact, as Rotary says, either in health, education, and also sustainable development. Uh, it's just that we have to ensure that every rupee, whatever someone puts in, is being reached out to the right people and a correct impact has to be done. And that's what we need most in there. So that is something I think I feel the Rotary and Men of Legacy leads or connects out to be. And if you ask me about the anthem which I sang, yes, music is very close to my heart, very, very close to my heart, more than the words cannot reach. And I believe that it speaks the language of heart. I wanted something to be captured, as I said it earlier as well, and words of Appa, where he was there when I was, kind of constructing or in the frame of construction of this anthem. So I just wanted to capture everything, that the courage that you build up, the purpose that you constantly, the constant driven purpose which you have, self-driven purpose, I must say, actually, and the unity of people. So composing and singing the song was my way of it to give something back to the mission, which related to the heartbeat and something which every member can remember, and I can remember Appa forever to it, and proudly I carry forward.
Lovely. And I think I just want to tell the audience out there, men of legacy or women on purpose are not about anti-men or anti-women. It's about giving both of them an equal chance to build their legacies and work towards their purpose. Giving them both of a chance to grow themselves independently of anyone else. And Dr. Vinaya is a living proof of the same. She had lived her life alone, managed everything, both personal, financial, and even the professional responsibilities to the fullest. So Dr. Vinaya, thank you so much for being here. Your life is a proof that resilience and responsibility can create legacy, even when circumstances force you to play two roles at once. Brothers, this is the essence of Men of Legacy. Legacy is not just money, it's presence, it's energy, it's vision. And Dr. Vinaya, what's your dream for the next decade or maybe next century for Men of Legacy? How would you like men to be?
I like men will start hating me otherwise. I always dream about, or I can say that I always used to dream and I dreamt about a decade where uh, thousands of men would redefine the success. It doesn't look like only creation of wealth, but I really feel that it should be closely related to uh, lives that they impact, and that shouldn't be separated. I see Men of Legacy for the next decade, as you're talking about, is I don't know whether it becomes a knot or something. But yes, I just look forward at like a moment which goes across the Soulful Smiles and beyond. I'll say beyond anything, where the community of men who know that they are not just for the fortunes which they are built, but they are for the fortunes that they can also nurture.
Wow. Wow, beautiful. And I think we will continue talking about this. We will have another days coming up. So don't miss out Wealth with Purpose tomorrow at 4 p.m. And Design Your Unicorn on Tuesday. And of course, NRI Legacy on Wednesday, and so on and so forth. And with Women on Purpose on Thursdays. But through this social venture fund and venture capital fund of combination, you can now invest and even gain passive income, have 100x plus potential returns out there. You can start with as small as 50,000 rupees. And believe me, your principal is guaranteedly protected so that you don't lose your hard earned money. So you can take a risk with anything out there. Through this venture capital fund, you can invest 5 lakh rupees minimum and you can back the India's next 100 unicorns. This is your chance to design freedom, not fatigue. Purpose, not just paychecks. Legacy, not just salary slips. Download your free ebook. Click the link below in the description and comments. Subscribe to Bringle Talks YouTube channel. Just watch it 10 minutes every day at 2x of the speed and see your growth of financial freedom 100x faster. Brothers, remember, our families don't just need us to provide, they need us to be present. They don't just need money, they need memories. This isn't about survival, it's about living life on your own terms and leaving a legacy that outlives you. See you next Sunday. Jai Hind. Jagao, jagao, हर घर तिरंगा के साथ, हर घर सोने की चिड़िया को जगाओ. Let's awaken the golden bird hidden inside each of you. Keep bringing, keep growing, and keep spreading the Bringle dream wave.